So hi there and welcome to this week's video. This is my Nintendo GameCube, which I bought back at launch in 2001. It was a bit of a Christmas present to myself, and it's actually the first console I ever imported. The Nintendo GameCube was Nintendo's fourth home console after the N64, and it competed directly with the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and the Dreamcast. And although it wasn't the success Nintendo hoped for, it was superseded by the Wii in 2006, it's gained a bit of a following in recent years. The GameCube was Nintendo's first console to use discs, but unlike the PS2 it was really just focused on the games. There was no multimedia extras. So my console is the American version, and obviously I'm based in the UK, so I have to use a step-down transformer with it, and I'm getting a little bit nervous about it. It's been in storage for a few years and I just don't want something to go wrong. So the first mod I'm going to be doing today is a USB power mod. I bought this from Robot Retro, and when I've got the GameCube open, I think it's going to be a good idea to fit a silent fan mod, which I bought from Retrolize on eBay. And the GameCube with its handle was always meant to be quite a portable console, and I think that USB power supply is really going to help give it that portability that it's always desired, and I'm not going to have to lug around that heavy step-down transformer everywhere that I go. And I also want to see if the fan mod's even worth it, so I'll be testing the noise levels before and after to see what kind of difference the fan mod makes. But these are two really simple mods. They're just plug and play, a couple of screws and you're done, so perfect if you're just starting out. And this is just the start. I'm also going to be doing a full series of upgrades to this GameCube, so if you want to follow along, please consider subscribing. But anyway, I think that's enough talking. Let's just crack this cube open and do those mods. So the first thing we're going to do is flip the GameCube over, and now we can take out the 4 game bit screws, one in each corner. Now we can just turn it back over, and you should find the top will slide off pretty easy. Yep, there we go. Now we need to remove these cables, so I'm just going to take them out with some needle-nosed pliers. They should just pop out quite easily. The black and grey ones actually go to the fan, so we'll just need to remember that for later. I'm just using needle-nosed pliers, but they actually come out pretty easy just with your fingers as well. And you also just need to whip out this screw, so let's just take it out with a Phillips screwdriver. And now we can just take out the back plate. That should just slide off nice and easily, and also remove the power supply. And now we can slide the new power supply back in place. It just goes back into exactly the same position. And it's just held in place with that single screw. Now let's just pop the power connectors back in. We can give it all a bit of a test. I'm actually plugging the fan back in because I want to check the volume of the existing fan before we do the fan mod. So make sure you stick around for that. Now let's plug it into the mains with a new USB-C lead, and let's just check it all turns on. You'll need to just push down those little levers at the back so that it thinks the lid's shut. Yeah, there we go. We've got power. Nice. So before we do the fan mod to install the Noctua fan, let's test the volume of the existing one. So from cold, the fan's reading about 22, 23 decibels. Yeah, not too bad, pretty quiet. And once it's warmed up, we're getting to about 36, 37, sometimes up to 38 decibels. So still not very loud, but let's see if we can get it any quieter than that. So let's unplug the fan. Now we can just take out the 4 screws that hold in the fan. and it should just pop out of its housing nice and easily. There we go. Right, so this is the 3D bracket that came with the kit to hold the new fan in place. So I'm just going to take the Noctua fan and clip it in. Yep. And now I'm just going to plug in the cable adapter as well. Now we can just slot the fan in place and just make sure the cable doesn't get pinched. And we can put the screws back in. It really is as simple as that. Now let's plug the fan back in. And let's test this volume. So from cold we're getting about 30 to 31 decibels, so marginally better but not a lot of difference. And as it warms up we're getting to maybe 34, 35 decibels, so probably 2 or 3 decibels quieter than the old fan. And now we can just pop in the blanking plate that came with the kit. And we can put the back panel back in place. So the cable for the Noctua fan was quite long already, and then we've had to plug on the adapter as well. So I'm just going to reroute it around because we don't want it to get pinched on the lid as we put the console lid down. Just keep an eye on that just to make sure it seats itself well without pinching any of the cables. And now we can turn it over and put the screws back in. Okay, let's test this out. So let's get all the cables in. The new USB lead, TV connector, controller. Let's fire this bad boy up. Nice. So there we have it, we've finished the video and it's time to take a little look at those pros and cons. So let's start with the good points for the power supply. It was really simple to fit. All it needed was a game bit screwdriver to get the case open, and then it was just a regular Phillips screw just to take out the power board. So really simple. And the kit was only about £31, which I think is pretty good value for money. But were there any cons? Well, I would say very minor ones here. The USB plug I chose to plug it into initially didn't work, so I went and found another one, and that one was absolutely fine. But I do think that on the website for the product they do recommend the type of power brick you need, so just make sure you do your research first. And the second really minor con was the 3D printed cover for the USB-C port was just a little bit too large, so I had to take a scalpel to it and just remove a little bit of material until it clipped in. Like I said, really nitpicking, but I just wanted to raise that in case you have the same issue. And what about the fan? Well, let's look at the pros first. It was really easy to fit. It was just 4 screws to take it out, 4 Phillips screws, and then I was able to just slot the new 3D printed bracket in with the fan. It all fitted perfectly, so that was great. In terms of cons, I would say for the price, I'm not really sure it was worth it. We did the decibel test and we sort of saw only a 2 or 3 decibel difference in the volume, and the pitch was quite different, so actually your mileage may vary depending on the condition of your own fan, but for me personally I think this was a mod that probably wasn't necessary. I mean, I'm not going to take it out, but I think we could have got away without doing it. But anyway, there we go, there's everything done. I've got a few extra videos coming up for the GameCube that I'm really looking forward to making and sharing with you guys. And so please consider liking and subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you next time. So take care and goodbye.